Okay. I, so I am Jacey Wanner. I'm a parent educator. What does that mean? Sometimes when people ask me, they find out I'm a parent educator, they ask me if I am a parenting expert, which is very flattering. And I usually tell people if someone tells you that they are a parenting expert, I wouldn't listen to anything they have to say. Simply because you are the experts on the children in your household. And so no one knows them better than you do. So I always say, like, I'm the expert of the children in my home. I am not going to pretend to know the children in your home better than you do. And so you are the expert on your own family, the own situation. And I truly believe that. So, and I would say most parent educators that are in the that are not influencers, that are not parent influencers online, they also believe that. You get a lot of parenting influencers online that are like, this is how you raise kids to be good kids. And we believe that there's truly hundreds of ways to raise good kids. And then we stand behind like 5 or so things that we would consider harmful, not great practice, those sorts of things. So that's a little bit just to start out with. I also have 3 children, 3 girls, 7, 4, and 2. You'll hear a little bit about them tonight as well. And tonight I'm just going to go through material from a curriculum called Positive Discipline. Has anyone taken it or heard of it? Okay. Heard of it? Okay. It is my favorite parenting curriculum for a few reasons. One, you can piece it together. So I am offering this class. So if you like this class today, I'm offering a 6-week version at the library in Bismarck in the end of March. It's 6 weeks and it comes with free childcare as well. So we'll have that. It ends up being like nine hours of parenting classes. So it should be pretty cool. So if you like it and you want to learn more, I highly recommend. I guarantee that it's fun. I guarantee you will learn something. I guarantee you will not be bored for the hour and a half. Okay. Other housekeeping things before I dive in. Feel free to stop me. This is going to be very conversation based. This is going to be working. We're going to be talking to each other, working through some different things. I read the blurb that I sent to Leslie and I was like, wow, that is a lot of things to cover an hour. We're going to do it though. Okay. So first things first, this positive discipline, the 3 questions that I ask you and will ask you for the rest of the night are, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you deciding? Okay. So that you're going to hear that a lot. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you deciding? And our first little exercise, I'm going to just ask you to do as I say. All right. You are going to have to move just a little bit. So I give that disclaimer. You're going to have to move a little bit. The directions are do as I say. If you want to put yourself in, I am an adult figure in your life and you are a child, you can do that for this one. Processing. Ready? Don't sit down. 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 Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't keep your hands by your sides. Don't keep your hands by your sides. Don't keep your hands by your sides. Don't open your mouth. Don't open your mouth. Don't close your mouth. Don't close your mouth. Don't stand up. All right. Those 3 questions. Yeah. It's the thing. Those 3 questions. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you deciding? What are some feeling words you have? Too old. Okay. So here's, if someone says something that you agree with, just give them like a little hand nod. Okay. So like, I'm also too old for this. You're annoying. Okay? I hear. Anyone annoyed? I'll throw that one out there. Anyone annoyed? It's okay. You can be annoyed at me. That's the point. Defiance. Anyone defiant? Okay. A little defiant. Like I'm going to be a little different. Yes, is a safe like you were the only one that went on the floor. Like you wanted to do something a little different, right? You want to, I'm gonna look around, but I said don't sit down. So you lay down. Absolutely. It's a little bit of defiance in you, right? Like a little bit of a streak. That's all right. Anyone else? Anyone else like, I don't want to listen to anything you have to say. Anyone like I'm zoning you out? All right, where's my people pleasers? Like I am going to do all of these. I'm going to do all of these and I'm going to do them well. Yes, a few of you? Okay. All right. Even though I don't want to. Even though you don't want to, you're gonna listen to what I have to say. Okay. Same instructions. Ready? Do as I say. Stand up. Look at a person at your table. Raise your right hand. Lower your right hand. Clap your hands. Open your mouth. Close your mouth. Sit down. Okay. Thinking, feeling, deciding. Yes. Difference between the first group? Yeah. What was different between the first set of instructions and the second set? First set, I told you what I didn't want you to do. The second set, I was very clear of what. Did anyone know when I said, don't put your hands by your side, I wanted you to raise your right hand? Did anyone know that? No. So the thought behind this little exercise first is, how many times a day do we tell our kids, don't do that? How many times after noon? How many times coming here did you say, hey, don't? My favorite is my kids like brushing their teeth. I'm like, do not spit your toothpaste on the counter. Where do they spit their toothpaste? Directly on the counter, right? And it's because our brains don't register the word don't. So close your eyes for a second. Cover your eyes. I want you to visualize what I'm saying, all right? Visualize what I'm saying. Ready? Don't jump on the bed. Don't you dare jump on the bed. Don't jump on the bed. Don't do it. What are you picturing? Jumping on the bed. All right, close your eyes. Don't run in the street. Get out of the street. Don't run in the street. Don't run in the street. Don't you dare eat a giant piece of that chocolate chip cookie. Don't you dare eat a piece of that giant chocolate chip cookie. You're picturing eating the chocolate chip cookie, right? You're like, yes, absolutely. You're looking to hide to eat the chocolate chip cookie. All right, you can open your eyes. As human beings, we are wired for the negative. So that's why if you think about having a bad day, think about you have a bad day and that bad part of your day probably took up less than 5 minutes. Ruins your whole day. So it sticks out in your brain for the whole day. Even though most of our days are probably pretty average. That is how we survive as human beings, is paying attention to the negative. So if you think about your kids and they have a temper tantrum and embarrass you at some point of the day, usually ruins your whole day. Usually you're like, oh, they're having a bad day today. When in reality, there's probably some good moments or average moments that take up more of the day, right? So first little tip I have is if you're struggling with a kid, is to be clear. What do you actually want them to do? Instead of don't fight with your sibling or don't fight with me or don't talk like that, what do you actually want them to do? Do you want them to whisper? Do you want them to sing to you? Do you want them to leave the room and be in a separate room as their sibling? What are you actually asking them? Do I want them to spit their toothpaste in the sink? Yeah. And so think about just the rest of the night. We have nighttime routines coming up here. So there's a lot of don'ts that happen with the nighttime routines. Like, don't put your clothes on the floor. Where do you want them to put? Do you want them to put them in the basket? It's harder for us to find what we actually want them to do. So something to think about. All right. Next thing, do as I say. You don't have to get up. All right. Do as I say. I'm going to have you take your hand. I'm going to have you look at both sides of your hand. I want you to notice the little things. Notice all the creases in your hand. Notice your fingernails, dry skin, things you haven't seen before, right? Maybe you have supper on your hand still. I want you to do 3 fingers. Okay, look up here. 3 fingers just like this. It's like the old Hunger Games movie. I want you to look at both sides. Okay, look at both sides. I want you to put it on your chin. I want you to put it on your chin. All right. So I got you. Not all of you, but I got a lot of you. I feel like, oh. So this is to show you, and I think we all know this, but this is one of those phrases that's hard to get out of our verbiage or what we say. It's do as I say, not as I do, right? How many times have you heard that or said that or come out of your mouth like, do as I say, not as I do. Like, you better listen to me. Don't look at what I'm actually doing, right? You better listen to me though. And we know through research and through lots of things, our actions as human beings are more powerful than our words. So we can talk and say whatever we want, and if our actions don't match it, it doesn't really matter. And that's a hard thing, right? It's a really, really hard thing. I have this little list that I read in my parenting classes, and it's whether you like it or not, these are the things you're modeling to your kids. And it's a little list of like how you apologize to others, how you handle mistakes, how you take care of pets, how you treat people with disabilities or different than you, how you take care of yourself. How do you handle repairing when you get into a fight with a friend or a family member? So it's a nice little list, right? And I asked parents, I said, no one's perfect. There's no perfect parents and there's no perfect kids. And so we all have things we can work on. We all have things that we have to be able to say, you know what? I am not a great model for my children in this area. And this is an area they're really lucky to have me as a model. So like you can do both. Those are both good things. All right. We're going to make our little list. Has anyone made this list? I'm like very excited. I was really nervous that someone was going to have taken a positive discipline class before. So I'm pumped that no one has. I've made this list in a lot of places and with lots of different groups of people. And it's also been made all around the world. So positive discipline is translated into 25 languages, which is really cool because parenting is universal. Everywhere in the world, there are parents. And that is a really cool thing. So this list has been made in lots of different countries and it's fun to see what things people have to say. So I'm going to have you guys yell out problems. What are problems that you are facing? And if people want to chat, I don't know if you're managing the chat. Are you managing the chat? If people want to throw in the chat, what are problems you are facing with the kids in your home and in your care? If someone says something that you also are dealing with, like give them a nod, like acknowledge, oh yeah, me too. Yep. You're not alone over there. So what problems? Whining. Too. Me too. Sure. If you want to, that'd be great. Dishonesty. Turn it right for me. Yeah. Dishonesty. Anyone else struggling with dishonesty? Yes. Hard. That's really hard. What else? Shout them out. Fighting with siblings or friends or you. All of the above. Who are we fighting with? Siblings. Siblings mostly. Okay. 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 Fighting. Yep. Okay. What else? Tattling. Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. But you also need to know. Trying to discern when to tattle and when not to tattle. Yeah. Yeah. When should you be talking to us? Mm-hmm. Okay. What else? What problems are you facing? What's hard? How about what are problems you see with your friends' kids? If you don't want to talk about your own problems, that's what I usually say. What's wrong with your friends or your family's kids? What are they doing? Ooh, okay. Staying on task. Mm-hmm. Getting distracted. Yeah. No, we don't want to be on the recording. Okay. Picky eating. No chores. Yep. No one has said this, which is, I always like to hear what are the first issues that kind of pop out because those are usually on the top of people's minds. This one is usually the first, and it did not pop out tonight, is tech, like issues with technology, like fighting over technology. Is that okay? Yeah. It's just something that you live with, right? So is tech an issue? Yes. Like managing tech. Okay. I'm trying to. Ooh, not wanting to go in the car. Okay. Oh, you don't want to go in the car with them. Okay, that's fair. Let me think of what else. Like swearing, poor language, aggressive language. Yep. Yeah, so that would be a common one that also comes out. Like morning and nighttime routines are tough. Yes. Yes. Morning and nighttime routines. Absolutely. This one also comes out a lot that I think is interesting. We'll do like two more. Entitlement. Refusal. Yeah. Like defiance. Defiance of just a big fat no. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Then yep. Okay, like I say, having the gimmies. That's kind of what I like. Get the gimmies. Like I want it all. Any comments on the chat? Anyone have anything they have? Ooh, you can just write them. Just write them in there. It's okay. Yeah, just writing. Ooh, you know what? I love sassiness. It's just fun. So maybe I have a few options of little things we'll do tonight, and maybe we'll do how to handle backtalk. Ooh, hygiene. Okay. Just overall, yep. So these kids in your care. So do most people in here have just foster children? Do they have biological children and foster children? Have a mix? Yes. Does anyone just have foster children in their home currently? Yes. 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 Okay. Um, so this, do you want to come right for me still? Okay. You don't have to if you don't want to. So in parenting classes, we talk about how parenting is a long game. So, yes, there are. You go for it. Here's my cap. Here's the, the cap on. So, we talk about how most strategies that stop a behavior in the moment. So, if you think about a threat, like if you do not sit still right now, there's no iPad for the rest of the night. Like, or if you don't do this, it's done, gone, right? Like a threat, or we say it's a stick or a carrot. So like a threat or like if you behave at church, I will give you this afterwards, right? Those strategies, usually instant behavior, maybe sometimes, usually don't work long term. Kind of have to use them sparingly. Usually they do not work long term. We can dive into like, what are those things teaching our kids, right? So we talk about parenting as a long game. So these kids grow up into adults. So the reflection is the children in your care are now 25 and they come to visit you. And they knock on the door and you open the door. What kind of qualities do you hope they have? What kind of person, characteristics do you hope they have? Honesty. Anyone else? Work ethic. You can say, do you hope they'd have a job, right? Like you hope at 25 they have a job. Yeah, absolutely. And they go to it. Yeah, absolutely. That they are reliable. Yep. That they still have good hygiene. I hope that you don't stink at 25. Yeah. You know what? It's hard. Polite. Yep. hmm Manners. Caring. You hope that they have like a loving relationship, like someone that they care about, emotionally stable. I can talk for about an hour on that. But so yeah, they're able to handle things when they don't go their way. Like they have the ability to do that. Some coping skills. They have some coping skills. What else? Yeah. You still have to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I want it to be done. Um the the in this scenario, the child is visiting you, which is also important to note. Like, do you hope they come and visit you? They're not living with you. but they are visiting with you or they're coming to visit you. Something to think about there too. I usually add like good communication skills, be able to hold a conversation. What else? Selflessness. Yeah, they serve. This is always when I do this in a smaller town. So I do go to rural communities and teach this class. One thing that always comes up is anyone from a rural community? Yes, like you live there right now, but you're from, yes, what community do you live in? Okay. So whether you're from one or I did not live in a rural community. Rural communities, the number one thing that comes out when I do this is service to your community. That is like usually that is something that is so ingrained in smaller communities is like you take care of your own community, you help out, you serve your community. That's kind of lost in a bigger city. We don't realize as much. Okay, two more. What else? What else do we hope? Okay. Oh yeah, personable. Has people skills. Yeah. Time management. Okay, I also want to point out no one has said this, and I think this is super interesting, you guys. This is usually, I would say, I've maybe had two, I've probably made this list 150, 200 times. I would say you guys are one of my two classes that has never said respect. Which I honestly, I, yeah, as long as you're polite, I push back on respect pretty big. I push back on respect really big just because there's so many definitions for it. So I usually say, what do you mean by that? Do you want a kid that is polite? Do you want a kid that just does what they're told? Do you want a kid that fights for what they believe in? Because all of those things can be respectful. So it's always interesting to me because people are always like, boom, respect. That's what I need. So thank you. Yes, they came. They wanted to see you. That's respecting you. Absolutely. All right. Happy. Oh my gosh. Okay. So thank you. Thank you for saying happy. Uh happy. Okay. I push back on happy a little bit just because everyone in this room as adults, we know that we are not happy all the time. Right? So I push back on happy a little bit because yes, we obviously all want our kids to be happy. All of us want to be happy all the time. I want my children to know they're okay if they're not happy. So, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a yes. How do you handle it when you're not happy? Right? Like we all want our kids to be happy. Like absolutely we want that. We want our kids to visit us at 25. And I think it's also this like it's okay to not be happy too. Right? Like it's okay. I want you to know that if you're not happy, that's also normal. And we know that. We know that and you don't have to go searching for things that make you happy. Like it's okay to ride it out for a little bit. Um so with these lists, I make these lists at the beginning. So week one, that's the first thing we do. And we use this list to guide us for the rest of the classes. So we are focused on building, building our qualities we want in our kids. That's what we're focused on. That's what we want to do. So I'm going to do just a quick little uh, experience based learning that I would show you what happens there. And then we're going to jump into apologizing and how to do that. That one's kind of fun. Okay. So I want you guys to pretend that I am your parent and you are my kid. Okay. Here we go. So processing. I am the parent. I am the adult in this situation. You are a kid. I want you to just process like what's going on in your brain. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you deciding? All right. I am going to use strong tone and I'm going to yell also. So if that is triggering, please close your ears. Sometimes somebody's like, don't yell at me, please. Okay, here we go. Ready? Go brush your teeth. Hey, go brush your teeth. Don't forget your coat. Don't forget your coat. How many times have I tell you? Don't forget your coat. Do your homework. I am sick of telling you this. Get your homework done. Stop fighting with your sibling. Stop it. I'm over it. Ugh. Put your dishes in the dishwasher. Put them in the dishwasher. I am not your maid. Get them in the dishwasher. Hurry up, get dressed. We're going to be late for school again. We're going to be late for school again. Hurry up. Hurry up. Stop whining. Stop it. Pick up your toys or I will throw them in the garbage. Yeah, yeah. That one I end with that one and everyone's like, shoot. That one. Were you at my house earlier? Like, oh man. Okay. Thoughts, feelings. What are we doing? Are we doing the things that I'm telling you to do? So whose like brain and body is frozen? Like I am stuck where I'm at. Yeah. Yeah. If I'm seeing them all at the same time, what are you doing? Frozen. Okay. You're what? You're not focused as the kid, or I'm not focused as the adult, because I am also not. Yeah, I would say I am also not focused as the adult. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like what am I supposed to be doing? My brain is racing. Anyone's brain racing? Frustration. Yeah, I'm really frustrated at you. First, you're using a really mean tone. You don't need to talk to me like that. Second, ashamed. Yeah, like I'm ashamed that you are telling me again that you're telling me again that I don't listen. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're not being fair with your mean voice. Oh, yeah. I get that one in my house a lot. I am way harder on my 7-year-old than I am on my middle daughter because she's cuter, because she's younger. Because she's younger. It's just how it is. She's also my middle daughter. My husband and I are both have very dark hair. My husband has dark skin, and our older daughter has like dark hair, dark skin, dark eyes. And our middle daughter has bright blonde hair, blue eyes. We get asked if she's adopted quite a bit. Like we get, and I'm like, no, she doesn't look anything like us. So I say she's easily the cutest member of our family because she doesn't look like anybody in our family. It's like she's really cute. Like she's super cute. I don't know what happened here, but that is. And then my youngest daughter is like kind of she's dark hair and mixed. But anyway, I talk way nicer to my middle daughter and my younger daughter than I do my older daughter because what about the oldest kid? They should know better. Who is the youngest child in here? Youngest child, youngest child, youngest child, youngest child. Who's an oldest child? Represent. Oldest children. Youngest children in the room. Did you ever get your oldest sibling in trouble? And they took the fall because they knew better. And as a youngest child, did you know exactly what you were doing? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Were your parents harder on the oldest child because they should know better versus that dang baby of the family? You know, those babies of the family, they know how to work the system usually. So, something to think about that's also in our positive discipline curriculum of putting your kids in the same boat, even if a child should know better. Like, it's like, hey, these are our expectations in our household. We're going to help support you. I'm not going to be harder on my oldest child versus my youngest child. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Um, if I'm wearing my positive discipline curriculum hat, they would say, uh, that's a lot of pressure in the sense of there's also other kids that are watching too, right? So like we want you to be a good example. I would just say we want you to be a good example because we know that you are and like build them up. Like we know you're caring. We know that you know how to do this. So like kind of taking that pressure off of all your younger siblings are watching you, right? Because oldest siblings, who's oldest siblings in here? You know that, right? We know our younger sibling. Like it's kind of like this pressure of having everyone. He's like, me. I know. I'm gonna provide personal testimony of this situation, right? Like, we know that. It's the pressure. I can give you the positive discipline book. There's a whole thing on like sibling order and all those things too. But I would just say take the pressure off of saying like, hey, we want all these qualities in our kids. And I see this from you and we can help like build that up. So we want to make sure everyone is doing that. Okay. Going back to all of our comments. Is anyone stressed with my continuous stress? Stressed. Okay. So now I'm going to do kind of similar, just processing. What are you thinking, feeling, deciding? Here we go. What do you need to do tonight so your teeth are squeaky clean? What are you taking so you won't be cold at recess today? What is your plan for doing your homework? How are you and your brother going to solve this problem? What did we decide about where our dishes go when we're done eating? What are you going to do so that we are at school on time today? How do we communicate more respectfully? What is your responsibility when you are done playing with your toys? What are our feelings? Yeah. Yeah. So when we tell someone to do something, whether that is your spouse, a coworker, a friend, when we tell someone something, our brain responds with a giant stop sign. Like resist, back off. That's kind of what I say. Like when I'm reading all of those things, like brush your teeth, get your coat on. I feel just like this giant stop sign in my head. That is biological. So our brains send signals to stress, resist what's being told to you. When is this good? Danger. So when your child is running into the middle of the street and a car is coming, that's not the time to go, hey, where do we stand? Like, where do we stand? It's get back here right now. Like, that's when we want their body to resist and we want a giant stop sign in their brain. That's when we want it. The problem is we cause these giant stop signs all day long because we're not perfect and we're human and that's just how it goes, right? It takes extra thought. So when we ask someone to do something, whether that's a what question or a how question, not a, hey, do you want to go brush your teeth? The answer is no. Hey, do you want to get your coat? Absolutely not. So it's, hey, what do you need? What do you need? Hey, how do we handle this? If you take one thing that I say tonight, my parenting hack that if I have no idea what to say, it's how do you think this problem should be solved? How do you think we should deal with this? What do you think should happen here? Hey, you're fighting with your sibling. How are you guys going to solve this? It takes a lot of pressure off you as the adult and it gives you a minute. I usually say, like, when I have no idea what to say to my children, that's what I say, because I need a minute because I'm going to freak out. What do you see? I see your, yep. And it's, oh, go ahead. Mhm. And then, yeah. And I think you could say, that is absolutely not allowed. Would you like me to solve this for you? Like that's kind of the next step of, hey, we want our kids to have responsibility, right? We want them to have coping skills. We want them to have manners, and that starts with, can you solve your own problem with your sibling? Can you guys figure this out? And you can do this when they're little too. So I mean, this works from age 3 or 4 all the way to 18. Yeah, what are you going to say? Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Mhm. Yep. I think it's we so if you're thinking long term, right? There are some people who love to just be told what to do, right? And I love to be told what to do. sometimes you have to pick, right? Like sometimes I'm talking about like you yourself, you have to pick, and that's probably really hard, right? So like having a mixture of both. Like, hey, how are you going to solve this? Do you have any ideas? Some kids might love that. Like, hey, let me problem solve. And sometimes they have better ideas than you do. There also might be a kid that's like, I don't know. I don't want to spend time thinking about this. And you could say, okay, well, I can help you. Do you want to brainstorm together? Like, I'll give an idea, you give an idea. Like, let's go back and forth. And then you might have a kid who absolutely doesn't want to contribute. Like, they just want the adult to help them figure it out. And I would say, helping them grow, like, hey, I'll help provide some guidance for you here. Like, what do you think should happen? Maybe I'll give you 2 options. You can choose between them, right? So there's lots of ways to layer it so that you can support their kid. Once again, you know yourself and you know your kids better than I do. So being like, yeah, they're going to have a really sassy answer back to that. That's okay. If you're a sassy person yourself, you can be sassy back. You can say, yeah, you know what? I am giving you an option here. Like I want you to grow here. I want you to problem solve. I want you to build qualities. Dang it. Like it's just something. I want you to be a caring person. I want you to have good communication skills. Like it's just however you want to do it. It kind of takes the pressure off of those screaming matches that happen or that tension that happens of like, whew, okay, how should we handle this? Okay, I'm going to give you guys, oh, that's what I was going to say. So when we tell, or when we're being bossy, or repeating things over and over and over again in a mean tone, we usually see our problems escalate, right? So on here, like whining, I don't want to do that. When you tell them what to do, go brush your teeth. I don't want to. I don't want to brush my teeth. How come my sister doesn't have to brush her teeth? Fighting with siblings, you didn't tell them what to do. You didn't tell them what to do. Tattling, well, they didn't brush their teeth. That's my favorite in my house when I tell one of my kids to brush their teeth. Well, how come you didn't tell the other 2? You didn't tell the other 2. Staying focused, sassiness, all those good things. Aggressive. Anyone have a kid get in your face when you tell them what to do? Like, no. Yeah, make me. Like, make me. What is the answer to that? Okay. Yeah. All right, game on, everybody. Okay, so I have a few options. We could be here all night. I'm not gonna make anyone do that. What would we like to talk about? We can do an apology exercise with a partner where you'd work through a situation where you lost your cool with a kid and it's a little bit of role playing, a little bit of talking through. So we could do that. We could do back talk, like how to de-escalate back talk. We could do, I'll give you 3 options. The third will be how to do appropriate consequences. So how to handle appropriate consequences, natural consequences, logical consequences. So we'll do a little exercise there. What sounds? Yeah, if we have time. Yeah, like what do we? Second and third one? I don't even remember what I said. Back talk, and consequences. Okay, perfect. I need a sassy person. I need someone that is willing to be extra sassy. Okay. You got it? Okay. You can turn your chair. You can sit. Sit, please.
I honestly, I thought you were gonna make a joke and be like, my wife would be great.
Not from here, okay? Okay. So your only response back to me is, and let me make sure I have it right. Give me 1 second. Your only response back to me is, I don't have to. That's the only thing you can say. You can say it however you would like. So depending on what I say to you, you can say it loudly, you can say it sassy, you can say it however you want, but you may only say, I don't have to. Okay. All right. Don't talk to me that way, young man.
I don't have to.
Go to your room and don't come out until you can be respectful to me.
I don't have to.
You are grounded for a week.
I don't have to.
How can you talk to me that way after all I've done for you?
I don't have to.
You just lost all your privileges. Maybe military school will teach you to be more respectful of my authority.
I don't have to.
How far do you think that smart mouth is going to take you in life?
No, I don't have to.
You are going to be respectful if I have to ground you for an entire month.
I don't have to.
All right. So, who's a sassy person in here other than, I don't even know your name. What's your name? Joel. Other than Joel, anyone like a sassy, like have a lot of words? Yes. Yes. A lot of sass. Okay. Yes. Someone has a lot of words over here? Yeah. Who would like to get into a verbal fight? Like game on. Someone no, not in this room. I'm just saying not in that we're not gonna have a verbal fight. I'm just saying like with your kids or your spouse or a friend who's like, if I'm going to get in a verbal fight, I'm going to win. So let's do it. Yes? Yes. Okay. I will take anyone on. Like I am completely comfortable being sassy. So when my children, who are also sassy and were raised by me, who have a lot of words and a lot of fighting things, it escalates it. So if I said, you just lost all your privileges and your kid said to you, I don't have to, what are you doing? Okay. So what are you saying to them? Sassy members of the crowd. Then watch me make you, right? Like I'm grabbing everything in this house. Yeah, good luck with that. And then what if they said, I don't care. You don't have to. What are you doing then? You're mean. Okay. Who's going to fight back to that? What if they said, what if your kid hit you where it hurts? They say your like deepest insecurity. All the time, right? That's kind of triggering. And you're like, let me put you in your place. Like, young man, like, let me go for it, right? It's triggering. We freak out. Okay. Usually, when we have back talking situation, it escalates and escalates and escalates. Till when? When does it stop? Is anyone going to lose a battle to their kid? Absolutely not, right? There's not a chance, okay? Who's like, you know what? I might give it to him. Anybody? Okay, so someone else has to step in. You're not gonna do it, right? So crying is like you know what, maybe we have to stop. Maybe we said some things we probably shouldn't have said, right? Or if you're fighting with your significant other or your partner or your spouse, like what's the stopping point, right? Like, is it so thinking about that, right? What is this at? Why are we doing this? Is anything getting solved here? So same thing. You are saying, I don't have to. Okay. Here are the words. Ready? I wonder what I did to upset you so much. You just have to say it. Just say it.
I don't have to.
Wow, you're really angry.
Don't have to.
I am going to take a minute until I can be with you respectfully.
I don't have to.
I need a hug. Please let me know when you're available for one.
I don't have to.
What would help us right now? Taking a minute or putting this on our family meeting agenda.
It's hard to answer that way.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all right. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point. I can hear you're really upset. Do you want to tell me more about what's going on? And the last one is, do you know that I really love you? So when your kids are extra sassy or extra backtalk, being able to recognize it not as a game on, or even if it's your I love parenting because if you have a spouse or a significant other or a friend or a sibling or whoever, usually applies to everybody, right? Like these can be across the board. So it's one of those options of, whoa, you see your kid is really escalated. Are you able to come down? Are you able to say, whoa, hey, can you tell me about that? Whoa, I see you're really angry. Our neighbors are teachers. My husband is also a teacher. Positive discipline is a teaching curriculum as well. So I've done some stuff in the schools. And our neighbor, he took my class for teaching and for his own kids, which was really funny. But he had a student, and he teaches band. And so his student would come in every day, and his student would intentionally just say really inflammatory things. He'd come in like yelling things out of control, and the head teacher would get in his face and start screaming at him about being respectful and how do you talk in this room. And what do you think the kid did? Got louder, said more inflammatory things, right? Like this kid wasn't backing down. Teacher would toss him. He'd spend the day in the principal's office on his phone because that's what he wanted in the first place, right? And so we use that scenario in the sense of, okay, so your kid comes home from school, your kid comes into a classroom, they are having a bad day. They are saying lots of inflammatory things. The difference between someone who is well regulated and ready to go and has some tools in their tool belt is to be able to say, oh, whoa, I notice you're mad. Do you need a minute? Hey, what would help you right now? Hey, I see you're really upset. Do you need a minute? What would help you right now? Then we need to talk about it. You're not allowed to hit people, or if they're doing something like, hey, that's a family rule. Like we don't scream on the top of our lungs in our house. If you need to go outside for a second, take a minute, right? So the whole point of this little back talk activity, especially for myself, who might be a sassier person, is can you not sass back as the adult in the room? Can you hold your tongue and see that they're obviously having a hard time and be able to ask them how they're doing? So just a little exercise to think about. I'm not going to go further into like thinking, feeling, deciding because let's try to do this other one too. Okay. I'll just have you guys, I'll have you guys all pretend to be my kids. I'll just play the characters. Sometimes I have people do different characters. Okay. Okay. So I want you guys to pretend that you are my kid and you did not put your laundry away. I have asked you to put your laundry away, I don't know, 100 times. And you have not done it. And I'm mad. Okay. So I'm your parent. I'm mad at you. Your room is a disaster. Laundry is not been put away. Ready? I asked you to put your clothes in your clothes basket. I will be getting the belt out. I will be getting the belt out, and when your father gets home, he will also be using the belt on you, and then you are grounded for the week. Okay, scene 1. Scene 2. All right, I see you didn't put your clothes in your clothes basket. I have a crisp $50 bill in my wallet, and we will go get ice cream if you go clean your room right now. All right, deal? Scene 3. I wonder what you're going to do when you don't have clean clothes tomorrow. Scene 4. I just want you to know that clothes in the laundry do not get washed, just so you're aware. Scene 5. What would help you right now to get this task done? All right. Who is putting their clothes in their clothes basket, being threatened with a belt and grounding? Own it. Who's doing it? Who is not doing it? I love doing this because then people are like, that does not motivate me. Bring it on. Like there's just like a little aspect of like, bring it on. I'm not afraid of you, right? And then it's the people who are like, I will do whatever you want. Okay. Who is doing it for the $50 bill and ice cream? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Anyone not doing it for the $50 bill and ice cream? Not going to do it. Okay. So we're gonna we're gonna up the ante. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What are we thinking with? I wonder what you'll do when you don't have clean clothes tomorrow. Anyone care about not having clean clothes tomorrow? Don't care. Yep. It's fair. Yeah. Not yeah, not worried about it, right? Um, who wants help cleaning their room? Yeah. As long as you do it for me. Who's taking advantage of my help? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair. Um, so kind of like what I said at the beginning, the threats of like, I'm going to take all of your electronics away, or I am going to threaten you with physical means, which I can do a little tangent on physical discipline in a second. But they, for those of you who did experience physical punishment growing up, right? It's usually, if you did, you got very sneaky at like hiding things, right? Like, I'm going to get really sneaky. Usually you don't trust the caregiver as much, right? Like, I'm going to avoid you with my thing, right? Same with what is a kid learning when you give them a 50 and a ice cream treat? Oh yeah. And you're waiting for 100, right? That they can be bought, right? Yeah. I usually say uh save your rewards and your ice cream for family pictures. That's what I'm like, save it for like that moment that you really need it. That's like the one moment, right? I will bribe whatever I want, right? So yeah. Yeah. So this is a deep dive. That's a really great question. That's why this course is like 6 weeks long, right? So positive discipline, there's a whole list of things that they would discourage, right? And so one of the things that they discourage is rewards, which I know is like, what? Who would ever take this class? And they would say, go out for ice cream. Absolutely. Like, go get a treat as we're celebrating our family. Like, hey, we're doing this because we love spending time together, not that carrot. Like, if you behave, we give you ice cream, right? Or like, you behave, we'll give you this new dollhouse, right? Like, oh, you get this because we love you and you worked hard for it. Like, there's just so many things, right? Like, you worked hard for this doll. You saved your money for this dollhouse. It's a special day. We're celebrating, whatever it is, right? Yeah. I come take my class, right? Okay. So these are the 4 things that we want with consequences. The 4 things. If you cannot answer yes to these 4 things, probably rethink your consequence. So, is it related? Is it respectful? Is it reasonable? Is it helpful? I had a parent in my class and he had a drinking problem. And so he had a drinking problem really early. And so he got caught having alcohol at school as a 7th grader. Like, he had a lot of alcohol at school and he got expelled. And he used this example because I asked when I teach this in class, I said, throw out a consequence at me, right? And so he said that he was grounded for a week. He couldn't leave his house. He was an only child. His parents allowed him to do whatever he wanted at his house. He couldn't go to activities or spend time with friends. But that was his consequence. And I said, okay, so grounded at home, no friends. You were drinking at school. Here you go. Is that related to bringing alcohol to school? Not really. Is it respectful to a human being? Sure. Is it reasonable to stay home for a week and not do anything? Maybe. I don't know. Sure. Is it helpful? Are you learning how not to drink alcohol at school? No. So this participant in my class went on to struggle with alcoholism for it was like 30 years. So he had recently been sober. He was okay announcing that to the class. Like, he had been sober for 2 years and was really proud of that. Like, it had been a really long road for him. So I said, he goes, so what should my parents done? And I said, okay, so I'm your parent. You get caught drinking at school. My consequence is probably you have to take a course on alcoholism. Like, I'm setting you up for a course. I'm setting you up with a sponsor sort of situation that you need to meet with on a really regular basis. And there's probably going to be some extra things, but those are going to be the two big things. And you're going to miss out on fun friend things because you're taking this class and you're meeting with your sponsor. Like that's probably what's going to happen. And I said, what? Go back to 14-year-old you. What's going on here? And he was like, that would have sucked. And I said, okay. And he goes, and I probably would have kept drinking. And I was like, okay, yeah. And he goes, I would have had resources though when I was ready to stop. And I was like, so it would have been helpful. And he was like, yeah, when I was ready, at least I would know a person that was like in my corner. Like my parents never talked about it afterwards, but I would have had a class or information. He was like, I would have hated taking a class. I would have been super upset, but I would have known where to go. Right. So thinking about that with our consequences for our kids, are they learning? And above that, it's how are we solving this problem that's going on? Okay. So if anyone has, I like to throw this one out there, like putting soap in mouths, washing kids' mouths out with soap, right? Is that related to swearing? Usually it's like swearing or sassiness, right? Is it related? Ish. Is it like you can make an argument, right? For sure. Absolutely. You use your mouth to swear. Absolutely. Is it respectful to a human being? No, it is not. And it happens, right? Like it happens. Usually if you are like washing a kid's mouth out with soap, it's usually a forceful action, right? Like it's not a sit here nicely and let you put a bar of soap in your mouth. Like there's a lot of screaming involved, not respectful to a human being. So learning is not taking place. Okay. Is it reasonable? Is it helpful? Are they learning what words to use? No, they're not. They're learning to be sneaky. I usually ask people too, I'm like, did you ever swear again? Yes. Anyone have something they want to write? The other one that gets thrown out at me a lot in classes is smoking, and their parents made them smoke like a whole pack of cigarettes in an hour. And they're like, what do you think of that? And I'm like, well, are you a smoker? Like, I'm like, did you keep smoking? And they're like, yes. I'm like, well, and then some people say no. So that's one. Does anyone have something they want to throw out? Like something that they do or something their friends do or something that their parents did? Like a strategy. I'm going to throw technology under the bus for a little bit. So iPads or iPad time or phone time is phone time, TV time, video games, whatever it is. I would say is the number one disciplinary action right now from families because it's enticing and our brains are addicted. So going through there, your kid, I'm going to just say like your kid doesn't do their chores they're required to do. And so that's not even, I'm not going to use that one. Your kid was naughty at an event. Your kid was naughty at the doctor's office or at an event, and you say, okay, fine, you lost your TV time for the rest of the day. Okay. Is that related to being naughty at the doctor? It is not. Is it respectful? Yeah, I think that's fine. Is it reasonable? Sure. Are they learning how to behave at the doctor? No. If your child is misusing their technology time, so they didn't do their chores because they were watching TV, they were watching inappropriate content on their device, is taking away the device related, respectful, reasonable, and helpful? Yeah, it is. So it's making sure we're using our technology. I usually tell families like neutralize the technology in your home. So taking it as this is the amount of time you use a day. And if you are abusing that, or if you're not getting the stuff done that's required, that time goes down. Otherwise, like use it as you see fit. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 They know they need it. So you know your family. So if it's working, like you know that. Like, is this something you have to fight about? Is this right? So that's usually I'm like, you know if something's working or not working in your home. So like if it's working, if it's fine, like, go for it. Absolutely. When we do that, when we say, you know what, if you get your chores done, if you do all these amazing things for me today, if you're a good girl, right? You get tablet time. By doing that, we are teaching kids that screens are what they live for, right? Like screens are what they work hard for. And it's not like a intentional thing, but that is what they do. Like if you get the dishes done, you get to have your screen. And so if we think about how that translates to adulthood, we are all addicted to screens as adults. Like we know that. It's harder. I'm teaching a class right now on like, it's called The Anxious Generation. Has anyone read it? It's a really good book, but it's basically on like screen health, using screens, things like that. So that's what I would say about it. You know if it's working or not working. I usually just say neutralize it, right? Like, hey, I'm going to teach you responsibility. You're allowed 1 hour of screen time a day, or 2 hours, or 3 hours, or whatever it is in your home, right? Like you have the number. Use it how you see fit. Here are the things that I expect to get done. If they're not getting done, that screen time is going to be reduced, right? And so they have to learn that responsibility. And obviously they're kids, so they're going to be addicted and excited and all those things. But it's giving them screen time is not what we live for. Look at how exciting other things are. So that's my 2 cents. Yeah. 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 Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Um, it's yes, for sure. And so knowing that, like, hey, I have to take your phone because you have to shower, right? Absolutely. Um, there's something to be said. So all kids have a really hard issue getting off screens. Like if we think about adults, how hard it is for us to put our phones down, it's 1 million times harder for a kid. So it's usually you have to have a dopamine replacer. So it's their brain dumps the largest amount of dopamine besides using a drug in their head while they're on a device, and devices close to your face dump more dopamine than like a community device. So like watching, so I always tell parents watching TV on like a big screen is better for them than being on a tablet close to their face. So if you have to pick between one, like watch a TV show. That's the same for adults. Better for your brain to like watch a movie than be on like doom scroll on your phone, right? So they feel really good, feel super, super good. You take it away, they feel terrible. And that's why you have like the extreme behaviors when you turn off a device. That's why you have the screaming, you have the thrashing. Their brain is it's bad. So you have to replace it with like what? You can't breathe. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then yeah. Oh yeah. And that's I would say like that is really difficult. So you have to say like, okay, do you like ice cream? like finding honestly, like what are the dopamine replacers for a human being? Because screens haven't existed that long. So like what are the things that dumped that dopamine into our brains before we had screens? Movement. So like for little kids, I tell parents like you turn off their iPad, have them do some jumping jacks with you. Like have them run up and down the stairs. That's like a natural replacer so they don't feel a huge crash. Do they like chocolate? Like, can you give them some chocolate chips? Do they like ice cream? Can they drink a Waterloo? Like, what is obviously you want to make healthy choices, but like, is there something that they enjoy that can happen? Do they have an animal? Can you have them pet an animal? Can you have them go outside? Like, those are natural replacers to dopamine. So helping out with those. Okay, I have one last thing. Has has anyone seen brain in the palm of the hand? Have you seen this? You've seen it? Anyone else? I didn't want to. Okay. All right. I'll have you take your hands out. This is your brain. This is your kids' brain. This is everyone's brain. Down here is your lizard brain. So your lizard brain is only lives in the present moment. Okay. So it's everything in your body you don't have control over. So sweating, blood pressure, heart rate, body temperature. You can't tell your body, hey, I really need you to stop sweating right now. Doesn't happen, right? They just happen to you. Anyone have a reptile? Does anyone ever have a reptile? Do you have currently? Okay. Reptiles only live in the present moment. They have no ability to think towards in the past or in the future. They are just responding to stimuli in their brain in the present moment, which is really crazy. They have no ability to tell time. So our lizard brains have no ability to tell time. It's also called your trigger brain. So like if you think about if you had a bad experience with a clown as a 2-year-old and you still see a clown as a 30-year-old, you might still have like your heart starts to race. Like you start to panic, right? That's your trigger brain. Up from your trigger brain is your amygdala. Your amygdala houses your emotions. 32 human emotions. Who's seen Inside Out? All right. So like joy, sadness, anger, disgust, envy, anxiety, ennui, boredom. Oh, that is that one. Ennui, nostalgia. Who am I missing? A few of them. Embarrassment. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Embarrassment, right there. There's 32. I actually got to be on a webinar with the creators of Inside Out, and they're going to make an Inside Out 3. And she's going to grow up and get more complex emotions like awe and love, and like all those things are going to happen. So those are housed right there, right up from your brainstem. Go like this. Frontal cortex matures when you're 25, houses your ability to make good decisions, houses your ability to weigh pros and cons, compassion, empathy, all housed right here. Okay. So usually we walk around like this. Your kids walk around like this. They're well regulated. They're just going for it, right? When your amygdala starts to fire and you get really angry, you flip your lid. What does that mean? That means you can't access the good decision-making part of your brain. Anyone make a bad decision when they've been angry before? Or sad before? Or anxious before? Anyone been a pretty crappy parent or spouse or friend or coworker when they've been mad before, right? It's because you can't access the good decision-making part of your brain. You can't. And no one else can access it for you. I use this. So I usually tell people like, use this as a signal. My husband and I use it as an alternative to flipping each other off. Like, hey, I'm out. What's coming out of my mouth next is really bad. So like my lid is flipped. I'm owning that. That's no one else's fault, right? So when we put our like what's going on with us emotionally on someone else, that's when things like, I'm so mad at you. I'm having such a bad day because it's you kid. Lid is flipped, right? You have to own it. When your lid is flipped, only you can put it back on as an adult. So what puts your lid back on? What do you look like when you're angry? These are not pretty things, right? Like there's stomping, there's screaming, there's slamming doors, there's red in the face, there's saying things you don't mean or you do mean and should filter, right? So you have to put your lid back on. What does that for you as an adult? Is it going for a drive? Is it swinging? Is it listening to music? Is it drinking a nice cold glass of water? Is it taking a bath? Is it staring outside? If you don't know what puts your lid back on, I'm going to challenge you to find out. Okay? And when you find out what it is, your kids in your home should know. You should say, whoa, my lid is really flipped right now, or whoa, I'm really mad right now. I have to go take a walk. I have to go water the plants because I'm mad. They learn how to cope from you. If you grew up in a home, it's very normal in North Dakota that we hide all of our emotions, or like generations hide emotions or don't talk about emotions. So usually I ask people like, how did were your parents mad? How did you know they were mad? Did they tell you they were mad or sad? Or is it you avoided them because they were mad or sad? Was their cupboards being slammed? Like what was going on, right? Yeah, what's up? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. They know the 5 times it happened. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm always screaming. So being emotionally aware, it's okay to tell your kids, you know what, I'm having a hard day. It's okay to say, I'm really frustrated right now. That's me. That's on me. That's my responsibility to deal with. I need to put my lid back on. So what does it look like when your child flips their lid? Like they go boneless. That's my favorite from kids. They scream. They are punching things. They, anyone have shut down? Yeah, they completely shut down. Kids need help regulating from the adults in their life. So that whole like modeling thing, right? They need someone to model it to them. Like emotions are okay to have. Your actions associated with being mad, like we cannot ruin things when we're mad. You can go pet the cat, or you can help yourself to a snack. Like you can do those things. Or you can go to your room and find, everyone has like a snuggle spot, right? Like a comfy spot that they feel really good. Tell your kids when you go to that spot in your home, like, hey, you know what? My kids know that my comfy spot is my couch with an Afghan that my grandma made. Like, if I'm having a really hard day, I'm going to curl up in an Afghan and sit there for a little bit. It's okay that they know that. And they're like, are you sad, mom? And sometimes I do it just because you need to snuggle for a little bit. But like, you sad? Yeah, I am. I am sad. And it's okay to be sad. I'm just going to snuggle for a little bit, right? Like, it's okay. Mom's going to be okay. I'm sad right now. I'm going to snuggle. Do you want to snuggle with me? It's up to you, right? So, modeling those things for our kids, when their lid is flipped, they absolutely cannot make good decisions. So, expecting them to make good decisions, you got to just release that pressure from them. So, it's like your job when your kids' lid is flipped is to help them put it back on. If you don't know what puts their lid back on, I usually tell parents, like, start with what they like. Do they like drawing? Do they like Legos? Do they like music? Do they like being outside? Do they like the animal in your home? Do they like tossing a ball back and forth? Like, what do they like to do? I usually say try not to regulate with screens. We do this as adults, like, hey, my lid's flipped. I'm gonna veg on my phone for a while. It's not super great for our brains. Do we do it? Absolutely. Kids, it's harder on their brains. So it's just something to think about. Like, try to find an organic way to put their lid back on. Sometimes I get a little pushback on I am not rewarding my kids' temper tantrum or freak out with Legos or attention or connection or whatever it is, right? Like, you gotta, it's like Italian, like, gotta hit them in the face with a washcloth or like do something like that, right? I always say it like emotional regulation, putting your lid back on is a long game. Emotions are really, really hard to deal with. We know that as adults. We know that. So, would you rather have that 25-year-old kid knock on your door who, when they get into a fight with their significant other, they say, hey, I need a minute. I'm going to go read. I'm going to go read. Or they punch a hole in the wall because they don't know what to do with their emotions. And we all know someone who's punched a hole in the wall. It might be us, right? Because they don't know what to do with them. Those feelings are big, those feelings hurt. So, just something to think about. What puts your lid back on? What puts your kid's lid back on? You can use that verbiage, or you can just say, hey, when you're mad, we're gonna figure things out here. All right. Last but not least, I do have like a quick, does everyone have a pencil? No pencils. No pencils? Okay, that's fine. I'm a resource for you. So I do have a parenting class coming up at the library. It's free. We have childcare available. If you scan the code, it starts the end of March. It has a list. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to me if you Google like Jacey Wanner, and I can send you my info too. And with things. So other than that, send me an email if you need anything. I'm here to help. Thanks, guys.